The December meeting of the Thousand Oaks Council on Aging is called to order. Commissioner Silverberg, will you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Francine, will you call the roll?
Absolutely. Commissioner Borghi is absent. Commissioner Fotheringham?
Here.
Commissioner Grimm?
Present.
Commissioner Healy? Here. Commissioner Loomis?
Si, senora.
Commissioner Norkin? Here. Commissioner Shentes?
Yeah.
Commissioner Searden?
Here.
And Commissioner Silverberg?
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now it's time for public comments. We have one speaker, Audrey Feluca. Audrey, if you'd come up to the podium up there.
First, I'd like to wish everybody a very happy and wonderful holiday season. May it be the best yet. And then also, I would sort of maybe like to repeat something I said last month and asking everyone in their community to please help to support us. I live at the Ranch Mobile Home Park, where they want to raise our space rents a huge, over $587. We are all seniors, Social Security, low income, and we cannot afford it. There's going to be a hearing on the 6th of December at, I believe it's 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, excuse me, my mind just went blank. And we're asking if everybody could please come and to show your support for us, and we would all greatly appreciate it because we don't want to be left homeless with nothing. Thank you.
Thank you, Audrey. We're very aware of your situation. All right. I'll turn the program over to now Commissioner Norkin, who will introduce our guest speakers for the day.
Good afternoon again, and welcome to our featured speakers. Captain Ron Oatman of the Ventura Fire Department, Sergeant Don Aguilar of the Thousand Oaks Police Department, and Don Reynolds, representing the very successful Thousand Oaks Volunteers in Policing program. For our first speaker, I'll introduce Sergeant Don Aguilar, who has worked for the Ventura County Sheriff's Department for 23 years. During these years, he's worked a number of assignments, including administration, patrol, jails, major crimes, narcotic, and bike patrol. Don has a master's degree in Emergency Services Administration and a graduate of the Sherman Block Supervisory Leadership Institute. Currently, his assignment is COPS, Community-Oriented Police Solving Program and Public Information Officer for the Thousand Oaks Police Department. Sergeant Aguilar, you have the floor. Thank you.
Thanks, Commissioner Norkin. Thanks for that very nice welcome. Council, before I start on my presentation on holiday safety tips and helping the public identify issues that they can help to prevent and deter crime, I just wanted to, in honor of Harry here, speak a little bit about Harry. Harry is one of our valued Thousand Oaks Police Department volunteers in policing, and I just want to give you a little bit of background and let everybody know what Harry does. In addition to doing the Council on the Aging, he spends a lot of time, and I work with Harry one time a week at the Resource Center here at City Hall. But Harry is a very distinguished member of our department. He's been a volunteer since August of 1996. And has had several accolades since he's been on. He has over 4,000 hours of service with us, and I just wanted to say a great thank you for that. He has won the Distinguished Service Award for volunteers, and was one of the very first volunteers assigned to the first resource center here on Thousand Oaks Boulevard. So thank you, Harry, for all your great years of service, and you provided a lot of great assistance to us. Thank you. That was a surprise. I thought I'd throw that in there. Okay, well, you know, this is a great time of year, the holiday safety tips, part of the program that I am going to talk about today. And, you know, there's some serious issues we need to talk about and help people identify what they can do to reduce the risk of being a crime victim out there. So a couple of the goals we have is, number one, personal safety and deterring crime. Those two issues, as long as we take care of those, I think we'll be in good shape when you're out shopping and even at home. Just to cover a couple of key points, Typically, we talk about valuables, people going shopping, going to the mall or strip malls or wherever they visit in the city, and there's a few things we want people to be aware of. A lot of the vehicle thefts from vehicles we see all year are as a result of people leaving things in plain view in their vehicles, leaving their doors unlocked or windows cracked. They're very attractive for thieves to come and take their things, especially in parking lots as big as, for example, the Oaks Mall or the Jans Mall. So our job as citizens would be, a great idea would be to keep our things inaccessible, keep our valuables, things we purchase and shop. We go to maybe put them in our trunks or another secure place out of plain view. In places as well as at home, people looking through the front windows, they can see Christmas trees and lots of presents gathered around. Make sure that obviously their Christmas trees are put in a safe place, but at the same time also keeping those gifts out of plain view of people maybe casing the areas and those kind of things. So very simple ideas, but again, protect your valuables and conceal them in a place where they can't be easily seen by people outside. At home, people take vacations and they need, want that security, that assurance that things aren't going to go bad or their house is not going to get broken into. So we have a couple of suggestions for people at home, and that is security, indoor timers for the lights. If you're going to be away for at least a day or two or more, please do that. Don, my partner here, will talk about vacation house checks and how to go about doing that. Mail and newspaper delivery stoppage. You can call the post office and they'll do that, and there's a free service to you, and also your newspaper delivery service will do that as well. Anything that indicate that you've been gone a few days will be attractive to people out there who are looking to do residential burglaries and those kind of things. Lock all your doors and windows and your vehicles. A lot of people get that false sense of security when they are in their neighborhoods. They feel that they can leave their cars unlocked in the driveway or parked in front of their street. And although we enjoy a great, safe neighborhood here in the city of Thousand Oaks, we want to also reduce that risk at the same time of people taking advantage of those issues. So lock your doors and windows, and everything will be okay. Shoppers, everybody is in the hustle bustle period of this year with shopping, and a lot of people crammed in a lot of small places. So be observant of what you're doing. Know people around you. We always talk about that bubble of space around us when we're walking around, and people bump into people, and as quick as that could happen, people could pick your pocket and take your wallet. It's happened a lot. There are a lot of very accomplished, sophisticated people who are very good at that. Again, watch where you're going, be observant, go in well-lit areas, don't be carrying large amounts of cash. If you have to carry credit cards, make sure you have all that credit information in case you lose your credit cards, so you can call the creditors and report those things as stolen so they can stop the access on that credit card immediately. Also, reporting thefts to local law enforcement can strategize to reduce thefts. Many of the issues we see in neighborhoods are as a result of accumulation of things going on, but we never knew about it because we weren't called to respond, to take the theft reports, or to address the suspicious activity. It ends up being after several incidents. One of the incidents finally gets reported, and then we have to kind of figure out and strategize how to fix it, or how to develop an idea of how to catch the thieves or the crooks. So anything you see that's suspicious, please report it, including thefts that you were a victim of. We like people to make sure they report it to us so we have a baseline to go from, and we can respond to that using our resources, whether it be crime prevention, the bike patrol, special enforcement unit, traffic bureau, investigations. We have a lot of great resources available to us, volunteers, but we just need to know what the issues are, and as long as we know and they're called in to us, we'll be able to take a real positive stance on that. Another one of the things that come up during this time of year is door-to-door solicitors. We were very aware during the daytime hours when people are at work and people have gifts in their homes. We see a lot increase in activity of door-to-door salespeople who are also trying to make a living at the same time. And all we ask of citizens is beware of strangers out there. The city has great mechanisms in place to reduce the risk of door-to-door salespeople who are not legit salespeople. People that are going to do door-to-door sales are required, number one, to get a business license with the city, and number two, they're also required to get a permit with an ID card indicating that they're door-to-door salespeople with a city seal on it. So if people are going door-to-door, they don't have those kinds of credentials and paperwork, on their person at the time when they're knocking on doors and they appear to be suspicious or don't appear to have the information they need for going door to door, please call our dispatch and at 654-9511 and report those kinds of people to us. We'll go out and contact them. We'll confirm either if they do or do not have a permit and take appropriate action, and sometimes we do enforcement action and issue them a citation for not having the proper permit. So the city has protected us well on that. We want to continue to provide that good enforcement aspect if we need to in the city. If they do knock on the door, ask for their permit identification. And if something doesn't seem right, then please go ahead and call us. Take a good look before you have to answer the door. Not required to answer the door if someone knocks on your door, remember. So if you're able to get a good look at the people and they look suspicious or you think they not from the area, please call us, and you don't have to open your door again if you don't feel comfortable doing it. Okay. The other parts of door-to-door sales, people, again, you notice someone going to someone else's door that's suspicious and not normal to the area, then please call us as well. So we really appreciate the eyes and ears of our public, and those are the things that help us nab crooks in an in-progress crime. And more times than not, it's the information that's given to us by citizens calling in on 911 about someone suspicious in their yard that allows us to make an effective arrest, and we really appreciate all the help we always get from the public. The property you do have at your homes is really important to inventory, and you can do that by taking pictures of it, writing serial numbers down, keeping your, like I said, keeping your credit card information down. There are a lot of computer databases these days that will keep all that information secure on your computer. There are websites, there are software you can buy to do that, so you can keep all these things, an archive of everything you have, and you really don't know how much stuff you have until you start archiving it at home. So there is quite a bit of stuff we have that are valuables, and just in the chance that things get stolen or lost, at least you can input those serial numbers and give them to law enforcement so we can enter those into the lost or stolen property system, so if they ever are recovered, we can get them back to you. So another great idea for inventorying your property. At this time, I would like to address or answer any questions that anybody has on the council here. Don's going to go into some other things, and I do have a couple of things to add on at the end about internet safety during this Christmas time and shopping on the internet. But I'll go address your questions first, and then I'll comment on
that. In looking at either the primarily, I guess, the Acorn, the police blotter seems to be getting a lot longer. Is something going on, or that sort of is almost, if not multiplied, at least becoming a little bit more concernful during the holiday period?
Well, we have fluctuations in crimes, and I don't know if you were able to notice what kinds of things you saw on the blotter. Was there a specific type of crime you saw that really caught your attention?
Scanned it, Sergeant, and then just didn't pick up anything specific. I know I heard about a couple of cleaning businesses that were broken into recently, and it just doesn't happen around here. So it just is, aside from the tenor of the recession or the economics, is there anything else that's going on?
Well, and I'm glad you brought that up specifically about the thefts of businesses, from businesses. We have things, like I say, fluctuations. Many perpetrators look at the opportunity to come into other areas, such as a nice community like Thousand Oaks. Normally they'll come in from the outside areas, from some other region in Southern California, trying to see if they can find opportunities to deprive people of their property or valuables during these tough economic times. So sometimes they happen in fluctuation in spurts, and our investigators respond to that by strategizing and utilizing resources. And usually by utilizing resources or by the community being actively involved in calling and reporting crimes in progress, many times they'll do 3 or 4 of these crimes, and then it'll deter them to not come back, or we make an arrest or something like that. So yeah, things can end up fluctuating throughout the year according to time periods. Now, during the holiday times from October through December, we do see sometimes an increase because people know that people are out shopping and have more valuables on hand at any given time. So it does happen that way.
Don, I noticed that at the shopping centers, there are more and more solicitors asking for funds from people for whatever purposes, I don't know. And how do we know that these are legal or just whatever?
No, I'm glad you brought that up, Commissioner Norkin. That is probably one of the biggest questions that's asked of us is donation solicitors. Who are they? Are they have legal standing to be in the city asking for donations at any given place? And many of the types of requests we get to contact the donation solicitors are in front of in strip malls, in front of shopping centers, or accesses that are open to the public. The city requires that they register as a 501c3 nonprofit and have that documentation, which is a city document, on their person if we happen to stop and talk with them. They're not required by law to have an ID card, such as a door-to-door solicitor who's doing business in the city, but they are required to have that 501c3 registration to prove that they are a nonprofit, and they can ask for donations as long as they're not obstructing the public from entering or exiting a business or blocking the sidewalk, the public sidewalk at any time. So we do continue to educate the public and our business people in the city, the merchants, and we want to make sure that they understand what grounds we have to or to not do any enforcement. So we do keep track of those, Harry, and we continue to go around to the shopping centers and talk to the property managers, the business owners, and make sure they understand, so we're all on the same page with it. So yes, they should have their paperwork from the city to indicate they're a nonprofit.
I subscribe to something that became available several years ago, so I get a periodic, I guess you could call it, email blast that lets me know what's going on. One of your compatriots writes it. And it's kind of interesting because the tenor, and I agree with David that the tenor of things seems to have changed just a little bit. Principally the description of the incidents with the cleaners and all the rest of that. And it was very interesting to me. But aside from that, this is way out of left field. How many of us have subscribed to that email blast? Do you have any idea?
I think you're referring to, is it City Watch?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's City Watch and there's also Business Watch, and you don't have the actual number, but it's in the obviously the thousands, and it keeps branching out and growing as the years go by, and it's just one of the best opportunities for us to connect with the community, neighborhood watch people, and get those crime alerts out to keep you, the public, aware of what's going on. And it's branched out, and it branches out every month. For every one person that signs up, they spread the word, and they end up sending emails of at least five other people, and they end up subscribing, and then they get 5 more people. So it really has expanded a lot, and I don't want to give an exact number, but it's in the healthy thousands.
It's a terrific service, and I'll say it since you didn't. Along with the email will frequently come flyers. Have you seen this individual? Have you seen this? So all of a sudden, the flyer, the wanted poster that might be up in the post office is spread out all over the city, and it's a really good deal. I'll say that for the television audience. Thank you very much for it.
Thank you. It is another great way to connect. And again, the community is our best eyes and ears, and we really appreciate their help.
You mentioned, you mentioned the serial numbers and keeping track of that, and for the purpose of tracking and so forth. But it's also a good idea for the insurance companies. Those of us that have dealt with insurance companies know that they do not normally give money away. They'd like to have some proof. So anyway, that becomes monetary,
Absolutely. It's another reason to document your property, and that was a great angle. I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Sorry, I just want, this is just a personal safety question. Don is actually just 2 doors down from me, and we live in a neighborhood, Canal Oaks, that has big, you go straight up. It's a walk to get up to somebody's house. And about probably since our last time we had this meeting, I was driving out one day and I saw a couple of teenagers, and they were all dressed up really super nice, which they just don't, So I remember thinking, wow, I should probably do something, and I didn't, because I thought, well, what would I do? And my next door neighbor's daughter was there, and They came to the door, and they were very, very aggressive, and she did not want to open the door. And would it be really over and above to call up and say there's a group of really well-dressed teenagers walking? And Conejo Oaks is a very we have no street lights. If it's getting dark, you really don't see. Somebody comes up to your house, you're pretty isolated with them. Would it be strange just to call and if you can call, what you wouldn't want to call 911, what would you call?
That's a frequent question that comes up in all of our community-oriented police problem-solving talks we do in the neighborhoods. The exact question comes up: do I not? Should I not call? You have to watch what the activity is going on in front of you, and things that are suspicious, we hope that neighbors would call for suspicious activity. People loitering who are not from the area, or if they're sitting in the car for a longer period of time than they should when it's parked, even though it's parked legally on a residential street. Things that are out of the ordinary, we want people to call into. If there's absolutely suspicious activity, maybe you suspect drug use inside the car or down the sidewalk or one of the areas in the green belts, we want you to call for in-progress crimes, and if you think it's suspicious in nature, we're not going to tell you not to call 911. If you're debating whether to call 911 or not, call 911. We want you to call. If you're going to waver on calling or not, then call us. If it's an emergency situation, obviously that's a 911 call. But if you think it may be a crime in progress, absolutely call 911, and that will get us there in a fast fashion. Get our response times there quickly, so we can at least contact the people that you're reporting to us. But we really appreciate the calls. And that example you gave, I don't know if that really would rise to the level of suspicious activity unless they were actually doing something that you thought wasn't right. But them being dressed in a decent fashion and probably getting ready to enjoy the evening of some sort, maybe not.
Considering that we have the holiday shopping going on, is there any kind of increased emphasis on handicap parking, monitoring, or misuse? How does that handle? Where's that on a priority level?
I'll let Don answer to that. They do a lot of great work, especially during the holidays. They are specifically looking for those parking violations. I'll let him talk about that. So thank you for bringing that up, too. Okay. I think you can do that by going onto the website at toaks.org under crime prevention. Hit the tab on the left. There's a crime prevention tab, and then it should introduce City Watch to you. Actually, there is a tab on City Options on the menu on the left-hand side of the police department area. It says City Watch. Just click on that, and you'll be able to do that. Okay. Yes.
Yes. What fraction of the homes in I don't mean gated communities, but fraction of homes have alarm systems, and I know whenever there's a false alarm, you guys certainly give the notice. I just kind of curious. I know it kind of maybe depends on neighborhoods, but is that helping at all? I mean, the burglar alarms?
People always want an extra sense of security, and we do have quite a few residences in the city that have alarms. I don't have an exact number, but I can tell you that people also use the alarm systems, and they want that extra sense of security. Or if they need an emergency, they feel better in being able to get a response quickly from an alarm company at the push of a button. But yeah, we do have a lot of our businesses, of course, and a lot of our residents do have alarms. I don't know the percentage, but they are useful, and we do respond to those. A lot less false alarms today than we used to years back, and people are a lot more attentive to checking their alarm systems, making sure they're working out the bugs, and doing checks with their alarm company. So it really has been an improvement over the years, and we still do alarm calls and respond to them, but far less than we used to.
Thank you.
All right. I think I'm it. I'll end by just reminding everybody on internet ordering or shopping. Remember, we can also be victims of crime on the internet. If you have email accounts, spam can be sent to your email addresses. They can try and use your email addresses and do money scams through there. One of the most frequent ones Don was talking to me about and we were discussing was where you get an email that they tell you one of your distant family members is out of the country and has been injured in an accident, and they're asking for you to send money, $2,500, and believe it or not, people actually respond to those things and they'll actually send money. So make sure whatever the email you're getting is legit. Be very careful about those things. If you're paying for things on the internet, use a secure pay system such as PayPal. And there are some other ones to speak of, but make sure everything is secure, because once you enter that credit card system in, you need to know who's getting that number and accessing it in any purchasing or banks or anything of those sort. There are a lot of mimicking websites that are list websites that are about one letter or one hyphen off, and they're actually bogus websites, but they know you type one incorrect key, you'll go to their website and you'll purchase something from them, and then they have your credit card information, and the identity theft starts, and a whole whirlwind of crime related to your credit information. So protect yourselves out there, be careful of what you do, and purchase on the internet, and make sure it's reputable. Anybody has any questions, they can always contact us at our resource center, Police Resource Center, at our office here at City Hall. Our number is 449-2760. And we can answer any questions. You can also visit the website under toaks.org and under the police department, and you can find a lot of information on there on everything we do, from enforcement to traffic to everything else. So thanks again for all of your time, and again, happy holidays, everybody, and have a safe and pleasant holiday as well. Thanks.
Thank you, Sergeant Aguilar. That was a very informative talk, and we appreciate your coming here and spending the time. Our next speaker is volunteer Don Reynolds. Now, Don has been a member of the VIP program since 1999. He was VIP of the Year in 2009 and is a member of the VIP training team. He is also the Home Security Survey Coordinator and Trainer. He has contributed over 4,500 hours of service. And now welcome Don Reynolds.
Thank you, Commissioner Norkin, and thank you, the board. I do appreciate the opportunity to come and discuss our VIP program and relate a few things that I think would be of interest to you and your audience regarding safety and how they can better protect themselves. The VIP program conduct many programs that aren't necessarily known to the general community. The Thousand Oaks City and City Council have provided us with great capability in helping the citizens protect themselves and their property through various programs that we provide at no charge. The volunteer program, obviously, is what it says it is. It's a no-cost volunteer opportunity for about 100 folks in the city right now. We have about 55 patrol-certified volunteers that you'll see in one of our 6 white patrol cars that go around town. In any day, there'll be 4 to 6 cars out. And they're out looking to help the sworn deputy and taking some of the load off of their shoulders. We also have about 40, 45 folks in our resource centers. There are 3 resource centers within the city, one in Newbury Park by the Newbury Park Library right out front, one here at City Hall, and the third one is at the Oak Shopping Center downstairs right outside of Macy's. Each of these centers provide services for the community, things like signing up for vacation house checks, home security surveys, providing general information about how to protect yourself and your valuables. What I'd like to discuss are some of the specific activities that happen both at the resource centers and in our patrol organization. The resource centers provide things like fingerprint services for kid prints, to keep for your own information to identify your children.
We also provide, like I said, sign-ups for vacation house checks, home security surveys. We hand out things like property engravers. These can engrave your valuables, your appliances, your TV systems, your audio systems. Typically what we suggest you do is you put your driver's license number on each of your valuables in case they are stolen. It's the best way that we can return them to you if we can find them. They also do bicycle licensing, and you can get fix-it tickets resolved at the resource centers, and that's predicated on having a sworn officer there to do that, which typically we have one at the Oaks and one here at City Hall. So those are all good services that are available, and I suggest that if you got any thoughts about needing any of those, come to one of the 3 resource centers, and they'll take care of your needs. As far as patrol activities, we do many things. We do traffic control. You'll see us out trying to help at traffic accidents, direct the flow of traffic in a safe way around both emergency response from fire and police, and keep people safe in that regard. And as part of our traffic duties, as was asked earlier, we do parking sites. And these are both handicap violations as well as overtime parking, parking in red zones, parking in fire lanes. I guess I would suggest there, because I think a lot of the sites we give are probably people that just forgot to put up their placard. And we try our best to look in your vehicle, make sure there isn't a placard laying in there. If we can find a placard, even if it's not properly displayed, we'll generally say, okay, you know, we don't give you the site. It is a $380 site. If you do have a placard that you just did not display and we could not find, you can take the site to City Hall, and for a small administrative fee, you can get that relieved. But try to remember, put up your handicap placard on your rearview mirror when you park in a handicap zone. That makes it easy on everybody. We do take crime reports. We take theft reports, burglary reports, identity theft, vandalisms. And in terms of thefts, and Don touched on a little bit about your identity, hopefully nobody that's listening to this carries their Social Security card in their wallet or their purse. Don't do it. That is one of the prime ways of losing your identity. They can use your Social Security number to get all sorts of services in your name, and it's just a headache to fix. So do not carry your Social Security card in your wallet or your purse. In terms of what are the most often types of calls that we go out to, lately it's been vehicle thefts and vehicle burglaries. People, they think they live in a nice, safe community, and they do. And hopefully the volunteers and policing are one reason why. But nonetheless, it's not zero. And there are, as Don had mentioned, there are groups that come from outside the city, not just within the city, that will pick an area and they'll put their crew out and they'll just go up and down streets at night and look for valuables in a car. If the car is open, easy, they'll open the car and take the valuables. If it's not, they'll break a window and they'll take your valuables. So don't leave anything in sight in your car, and keep your car in a secure location, and we recommend you keep it locked in any event, especially during the holiday when you've got packages in and out and so forth. Don't just throw them in the back seat. Put them in the trunk, put them out of sight. So those are things that we'd strongly suggest. As part of our patrol activities, we do take evidence collection. If we're at a crime scene, we do go to a vehicle burger or something like that. We'll take, as best we can, fingerprints. We'll collect whatever evidence. If there's a tool they use to break into the vehicle, something like that. And so we will book all that evidence for further use in a prosecution if that's forthcoming. In terms of the vacation house checks, we have a service that we have a log that has all of the requested house checks that are ongoing, and we try our best to check every house every day on our log. We'll check your windows and your doors, make sure everything's locked and secure. We have found things like a broken water system, we found open doors, and typically what happens is the homeowner will have somebody come in to take care of the dog or the cat, and they will forget to lock the door on the way out. And at that point, we'll have a deputy come through, and he'll go through the house and make sure there isn't any nefarious activity going on, and we'll lock it up and secure the residence. To get a vacation house check, call that same number Don had on the screen, 449-2760, and that'll get you to the resource center, and they'll sign you up, and that'll be put on our log for a patrol within a day or so. So whether you're gone for 2 or 3 days or a month, go ahead and give us a call, and we'll put you on our log for a patrol review each day. In terms of the home security survey, I think that's probably one of the more valuable things we do. We'll come to your house at an appointed time that you agree to, and it'll take about an hour, and we'll go through your property. We'll check for your signage of your address, both for day and for night. We'll look at your landscaping. We'll look for access points that if somebody wants to case your house, this is how they would probably approach it. We'll look for your lighting outside. Is it appropriate for night that would alert you to the approach of somebody you don't want there? We'll look at your locks and your windows and your double locks and so forth. We'll talk about security systems if you so desire. Basically, we'll give you ideas about how to record your property, like was discussed earlier, and how to market for future identification if you need to have that if something is taken. So it is a service, again, that we provide at no cost. And again, call that same number, 449-2760, and they'll sign you up. Actually, they won't sign you up. What they'll do is refer you to me, and I will coordinate with you to get an appointment, and we can continue from there. So hopefully this has given you some idea of the things that we do provide for the City of Thousand Oaks through the Volunteer and Policing Program. Our volunteers put in typically about 30,000 hours a year in both patrol and resource activities. So that's a lot of time that we take off the shoulders of the Sheriff's Department, and we're kind of proud of that. And if you have any questions, I'm more than happy to answer you. Yes, sir.
Yes, did the VIP have arrest capability or authority?
No, the VIPs are not sworn officers. Okay. We do go through a fairly rigorous training program to be able to communicate with the sworn officers, and if we do need their assistance in, if we come up on, for instance, an assault or some sort of ongoing dispute, we're able to get a hold of deputies right away and bring them onto the scene, and so they can take care of that situation.
Yes, Don. How can a person become involved with the VIP? I'd like to hear more about that.
The volunteer program has a training effort, like I mentioned. It's probably 8 to 10 weeks, and we do it when we get to the point of needing additional volunteers. At this present time, we are kind of filled up. We just had a new training class, just brought some folks on. What we do recommend is that people that are interested at least get started with the Citizens Academy, which is a program that allows the citizens to understand kind of what the city's about, what the police services are about. And if you're really interested after that, then we suggest that you take the next step and maybe apply for the Volunteer and Policing Program. But like I say, we're probably not going to have another class now for another year or so. We've got more than enough to fill up all the cars we've got right now. Yes, sir.
You recommended that
we avoid carrying our Social Security cards around to avoid identity theft. And yet, for most of us, we're carrying a Medicare ID card that contains our Social Security number. How can we get around that?
That is unfortunate. I do not have a good answer for that. I've noticed that even myself, because it basically has your Social Security number on it. And if you certainly need it for medical services, you got to have it with you. I understand that. I would hope the federal government one of these days would find another way to have your ID on your card. But
well, I made a copy of my card and blacked out the Social Security number, and that's what I carry.
That's a good thought.
It's no problem when I go to a new doctor and hand them the card. In fact, I went to the hospital once for a test. I handed the card to the lady at the desk, and she looked at it and said, "Oh, you blacked out your number. That's a very good idea."
Yeah.
And, she wrote it down. I gave it to her. She wrote it down.
That certainly is an excellent idea. And I will recommend that to folks when I run into that situation. That'd be good. Right.
A lot of the insurance, particularly those of us that have Medicare, the secondary, like I know Blue Cross will give you a different ID number. Mm-hmm. They'll say, this is your ID number, and it has no relationship to your other. And it seems to me, since the federal government is pretty good at keeping all of these records, they ought to be able to do that soon, pretty quickly.
Right. Everybody is well aware of the detrimental effect of getting your Social Security number stolen. And I would hope that they would begin to recognize that putting on your Medicare card isn't the best thing to do. But that's an excellent idea that was earlier, if you can black that out. Any other questions? All right. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you, Don. That was very, very interesting. Wow, I didn't know we did all that. Our next speaker, it will be Ron Oatman, a captain in the Ventura County Fire Department, who had worked for the fire department for the last 23 years. He had gone through all the ranks in the fire department, serving in almost every section of the county before being selected for its present position as Public Information Officer. Ron is also a resident of Thousand Oaks.
Well, thank you for having me. We're going to cover a quick PowerPoint program that I have from the National Fire Protection Agency, and it's basically on fire and fall protection for older adults. But as I went through this, I realized, wow, this is good advice for myself. This isn't specific to the holidays, but as we go through it, if you think about how hectic the holidays are and how much of a hurry you're in and how much added lighting you have in your home for your decorations, the packages, the hustle and bustle that's going on. And if you look at it that way, of all the things we're going to talk about, and then add the fact that there's a lot of out of the ordinary to this, it really brings it home. This is just a simple graph. We won't spend a lot of time on it, but this is deaths that occurred in fire homes, in home fires. And you can see that basically the very young, the children under the age of 5 are a high rate. But then as you get over to the right side of the screen there, the older the people get, basically they just have a more difficult time getting out of their home, and they're often, unfortunately, are unable to escape. We can overcome this by many things, and we'll talk about that. But just when it really comes down to it, it's the basics. It's the fire protection systems, your smoke detectors, your alarm systems, having a clear path of egress, and we'll cover all that. But this is just really nails it home here. But you can see where it just really sharply rises the older that we get. Smokers, I hope there's not too many of you that are left, but there are still smokers, and we have to smoke responsibly. If you are going to do that, make sure it's responsible. So it's never leaving them, never smoking in bed. And making sure you dispose of them properly using an ashtray, watering them down before you actually dispose them into the trash. Space heaters, this is real common. We've been in some really cold weather lately, and space heaters, and even the modern day ones that you're buying that have a lot better technology, they're still putting out a great deal of heat, and the key is that space heaters need a lot of space around them. So when you put it into a cluttered area, and then again add the hustle and bustle of the holidays with gift wrappings and all that kind of stuff, it's very easy to get something flammable next to one of those space heaters. Something small, just like a piece of wrapping paper or something, gets burning, gets something larger burning, and continues on. In the kitchen, and again, this is year-round advice, but we have a lot more cooking going on, tend to be during the holidays, with a whole bunch of other things on your mind. So you got you're cooking that last-minute stuff. You think, oh my gosh, I still need to do this, and I need to do this. You might leave for a minute and forget that you've left something on the stove. So cooking is you really got to dedicate yourself to that. Along with that is simple things just like loose clothing. You reach across your stove with the flames going or something. You can catch a sleeve on fire, and yeah, you know, and it's more common than you would think. Just very, it seems like common sense, but your mind ends up being elsewhere. So during the cooking, we just really need to pay attention to what we're doing. Dedicate yourself to that. If you do get sidetracked and have something else to do, just go ahead and shut down the operation and come back to it when you're done. And firefighters are really we're the key example of that. We cook in the firehouse, and then the alarm will ring, and we usually have a whole bunch of people going, "Did you shut off the stove? Did you shut off the stove?" And I can't say we've always done it, but there's been times where maybe a battalion chief was rushing back to a fire station to check on a stove before. But it just goes to show that you really got to concentrate on what you're doing there. Stop, drop, and roll. We teach this to the children, and it doesn't end as we get older. If you do catch on fire, or if your clothing catches on fire, people don't just spontaneously catch on fire. But if you do catch on fire for whatever reason, that kitchen situation that we were talking about, your sleeve, something like that, something splashes on you, flammable liquid of some sort, you want to just do the basic stop, drop, and roll. That means come to a stop so that you're not running and feeding that fire oxygen. Drop down to the ground so that you can begin to roll. You want to cover your face and your airways, the main thing, covering your actual mouth and nose so that you're not breathing in any of that, or as little of that hot gas as possible. And then by rolling back and forth, that causes the fire to be smothered. And then if you have assistance, obviously you would call 911 if you witness this. The key is to get as much water on that person as possible. You want to cool that burn. There's another example of space heaters. Smoke alarms, again, this is endless advice. We're talking about the holidays now and stuff. We just went through a time change, which is a time that we always recommend everybody to change their batteries. But it's very common that people don't change their batteries. One, because it's difficult to get to. Sometimes they're just difficult to get to those smoke detectors. So in that case, you really want to solicit help wherever you need it, whether it's a handyman, a family friend or relative. But this little $10 device right here has saved more lives than you can imagine. It's very, very important. The other thing that you want to look at now is maybe increasing the amount of smoke detectors that you have. As we get older, our hearing may not be as well off. That smoke detector might be going off and not be aware of it. So by having more smoke detectors, one right in the actual room that we're sleeping in, one right outside, that kind of something. Some of them are even connected to one another now, where if one goes off in the kitchen, they actually all go off in the house. So it doesn't matter where the location of the smoke is coming from, but all those smoke detectors can go off. So that's. They have all kinds of different options, yeah, and I don't have all the information, but yeah, wireless, wire. You'd be surprised how many times this time of year people will buy a little kid's present that requires a battery, and they forgot to buy that battery. But hey, there's one up there in that smoke detector. So. again, this is something we teach to the children in elementary school, but the advice goes on, and that's to practice how to get out of your home. Know how you're going to get out of your home if there's an emergency. This means keeping your paths clear. Again, adding that Christmas clutter and stuff. But if you have to get out of your home in the dark in a hectic situation, you need to know that you have a clear path to multiple ways of getting out of your home. Obviously, the way you go out of your home every day is going to be your preferred choice, but you need to have that additional option of how you're going to go out a window, whether it's a second story. You really got to look at your own personal situation and how you're going to deal with that. Know your local emergency numbers. 911 is obviously going to be the key number. We do have non-emergency numbers, but the 911 system, we don't like to tax it for unnecessary calls, but when in doubt, that's the number to dial, 911, and they'll transfer you appropriately if they deem that it's not an emergency. But for what we're talking about today, 911 would be the number. Plan your escape around your abilities. Again, as we get older, we have more and more things that we have to deal with. So if you have walkers, wheelchairs, the fact that glasses where you need to see at night, whatever it is, you kind of really got to look at your own situation and how am I going to deal with this. So you may need more lead time, where maybe there's a small toaster fire where somebody capable might feel like, hey, I'm going to go ahead and actually try and fight that fire with a fire extinguisher that I have here in my kitchen. You may want to look at, as you get older, you know what, I'm just going to get the heck out and call 911 and let them come put that fire out. This again drives down the exits. Whatever it's going to take to get out of your home, you got to look at your own situation, whether you're on the first floor, the second floor, whatever it is. But just know all the different ways that you have to get out of your building if it's necessary. And here's another graph, and this is just dealing with falls, where people have actually died from falling. And you can just see on the right-hand side there how it just really shoots up as you get older. A simple fall can end up causing multiple medical problems as you get older. Broken hips, it seems like, oh, it's a broken bone, but it can end up causing ongoing problems for the elderly, which can ultimately lead to death. So you really just want to take the time to make sure that your paths are clear, that you don't have tripping hazards. You use your proper walkers, your canes, whatever it is that's necessary. Don't fight the aging process. Just utilize the technology that we have to the best of your ability, and keep safe. Exercise regularly. This is going to be, we can go on and on about exercise and stuff, but it doesn't matter what the age is. You want to continue to exercise, and again, there you know what your abilities are. By exercising, you know whether you can get up those stairs, down those stairs in a timely manner to escape, whether you have to come up with another option. We just talked about it a few minutes ago, but you're more likely to fall when you're rushed or distracted. So keep your paths clear. Try and stay focused on what it is you're doing. But when we're talking about a fire situation or something, obviously you're rushed and you're distracted. So you really need to keep those paths clear. Take your time. Obviously, if we're in a fire situation, that's going to be a different situation, but in general, we just don't want to we don't want to trip and fall for no reason. We want to take our time, know what our abilities are, and get wherever we're going safely. Keep your walkways clear. We kind of talked about that, and you add the Christmas clutter and all the stuff that's going on. You really want to know that your routes of travel are going to be a safe route. Your eyes, obviously, you want to just keep those the best that you can as you get older. Keep your eyes in as good a shape as possible by seeing an eye specialist, and then having proper lighting throughout your home, having night lights down the hallways, in the bathrooms, to where you can really see at night if you have to get up to move around in the darkness. Consider adding handles in your bathroom areas, and keeping towels and stuff on the floor to keep slippery surfaces at a minimum. The throw rugs that you use, you want to make sure that they're the ones that don't actually slip. Throw rugs that have that sticky mat underneath them. Otherwise, it's actually worse by having a rug on the ground. So something that's going to really stick to the ground that you can get some good footing with. Just taking your time coming down the stairs. Get footwear that fits properly. Don't feel like you have to use those shoes that your grandkids bought you because they bought them for you. If they don't work for you, get the right ones. So something that simple, the proper shoes. Sometimes slippers and stuff can do just that. They can make you slip. So wear the shoes that are going to be appropriate for what you're doing. And then show off what you know all about fire safety. And we'll open it up to questions.
I have a general question about your first slide on the death rate. Seniors extremely high. Is that a function of the fact that they can't get out, or are seniors just more likely to have a fire?
I'm going to go off of just an educated guess, but I'm going to say it's probably having to do with getting out. Because even a simple fire, even with smoke detectors and stuff, we can have relatively small fires. As a matter of fact, before I came here, I was at a small fire in Simi Valley. It was just a little mattress fire, but it charged the entire house full of smoke. When you looked at the actual fire itself, there was a hole in the mattress from whatever caused that mattress fire. But the units that were en route actually saw a large head of smoke. They thought they had a much bigger fire than they did when they got there. They had a small mattress fire. So the amount of smoke that the synthetic materials that we're using today, all the plastics and that kind of stuff, the couches and stuff that we call flammable resistant that we're using today, they are flammable resistant, which means that they don't catch on fire as easily. However, when they do, they produce a great deal of smoke prior to catching on fire, and then once they do, they go up very quickly.
Thank you.
Jim? Yes, Larry?
Hi, Ron. Ron is a neighbor of mine, and he has a beautiful display out in front of his yard for the holidays. It looks nice. I see it every morning when I walk. You talked about falls. Did you spend that much time on falls because, in fact, the fire department is getting called when an aged person falls and somebody can't get them upright again?
Well, it's a little bit of both. It is part of this program that I showed that's part of the National Fire Protection Agency. So it's a national problem. So we do see it. We don't see an increase from the fire department, but it is very common to go on fall victims that tend to be with the older adults. And 9 times out of 10, it's just something very simple.
Just can't get them up again or whatever.
Well, I mean, yeah, we provide that public service to simply pick them up, and hopefully that's all that's wrong with them. You know, hopefully when we get there, they've fallen and we assist them getting up and they're fine. The danger is a simple fall, just a simple trip and fall. The older you get can cause a lot more damage.
Yeah, all kinds of other things. And one thing that you didn't mention that's interesting to me, and I'm not. I guess I'm of two minds of it. Our houses now, with the double pane windows and all the rest of that, tend to be very tight, and therefore they tend to hold noxious things inside them, like carbon monoxide. But what is your take on the value of carbon monoxide detectors in our homes here?
Carbon monoxide detectors, they're a great tool, but again, it is just a tool. What we end up seeing is people's carbon monoxide detectors go off, and they don't see anything because you can't see carbon monoxide. They don't smell anything because you can't smell it, so they think it's malfunctioning, which very often they are. But until you know that for sure, you have to kind of read that tool. But one of the best things to do if your carbon monoxide detector's going off, there's no real source that you would think so. Ventilate your home the best possible. Check anything that you have in your home that might be that would be generating heat, your furnace. There's actually very few things. Have those checked. If in doubt, just have a professional come out and check those. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Are the newer LED Christmas lights that much safer than some of the old incandescent types?
Well, They're safer from, they're drawing less electricity, so safer from that standpoint. And some of the old ones, when you remove a bulb or if you break a bulb, there's still live electricity kind of exposed within there. Those of us, I certainly remember getting shocked from some of the broken lights and stuff, which means that they're actually drawing electricity still, even if it's open. So if you have a broken light bulb on one of the older ones and it's touching a source that could actually pull that electricity, it could cause a fire. So anytime we're dealing with newer technology, it is a lot safer. They also have the fuses built into them now, where they didn't used to have fuses. You could string them as long as they get dimmer and dimmer, but you could just keep stringing them out. Now you plug in more than 3, and the fuse actually blows. So not that people don't figure out ways to bypass that, but it is a safety feature. Yes, sir.
What are they doing now about replacing the americium 246 in the smoke detectors? I understood that there was concern about that and the fire, because of the radioactivity. Is there any move afoot by the NFPA to?
That's you got me on that one. I might as well ask me how my refrigerator works. I'm not sure on that. So yeah, I'm not familiar with that.
Second question is, the county has a lot of senior fall prevention programs. Are you folks getting involved in that?
Absolutely. We have a community education department, and they're very big into all that stuff.
Anyone else? Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, thank you all. This was a very informative and needed update on what we need to do to keep ourselves safe during the holidays. So thank you very much. All right, we're going to move on to our committee reports. Our first committee report will be on fraud, which you guys might be interested in. Martin, will you take it?
Let me repeat a crime that was popular last year, which I'm sure will be popular this year in the holiday season. Thieves will roam the parking lot of the mall or shopping center, watching shoppers put items, as was suggested, in their trunks, and then they will follow them as they drive off to another shopping center, and then park there, knowing they'll be in that other store for some significant period of time, will go and pop open their trunk and steal whatever was in it. So when you're driving around town, keep alert. Make sure no one is following you. Some will even follow you home, although that is a little more rare. But just be careful, know what's going on around you at all times. If you are walking to your car carrying a lot of packages and you see, it's maybe late at night, or ask the security people at the shopping center to escort you out. They will do that. Just be careful. This is a bad time of year. Yeah, that's right. They'll even ride you around in a tram. Aha, yes. They're looking for volunteers to drive trams.
All right, thank you, Martin. Upcoming programs. Nancy, would you like to tell us about our January program?
Was me.
I'm sorry. Harry, would you like to tell us about our January program?
Yeah. The program to be broadcast on Wednesday, January 5th, 2011 is entitled When Living Alone is Not an Option. Before the televised program begins, there will be a speaker's reception in the Oak Room at noon. There will be 4 panelists and a moderator to present information on the types of care and residential facilities available for those who are unable to live independently. This often difficult decision and transition will be discussed with compassion and sincerity. 2 financial specialists will present an overview of costs involved and ways of preparing to meet these costs. Watch your local newspaper for more information and the names of the panelists. Thank you, John.
Thank you, Harry. And thank you, Nancy. Thank you. All right, we're moving on to our Senior Adult Master Plan. Mel?
Thank you, Jim. Before we go further, I'd like to note that we've we've had a management senior master plan chair update in that we now have 2 co-chairs, myself and Commissioner Fotheringham, and it's good that we have a second person, because sometimes I may never get to a meeting for a variety of reasons. And in fact, Nick's going to tell us about the big event in October was the breakfast, and I wasn't there, but I heard a lot of rave notices about it. The people that were there were impressed. In fact, when somebody asked how many people here for the first time, because we had normally about 40 volunteers last year, and this other person said half the room's hands went up, and so that was they thought that was impressive, that was a real serious thing. And I do know that all of the teams are meeting, have met, continue to meet, in fact, over the summer, and they're starting to integrate their new members into their teams, and then I'm going to stop there, and then I'm going to let Nick Fotheringham add to that, please.
Well, Mal, it's possible that the rumors you heard are more exciting than the reality. The purpose of this gathering was to kick off the second year of implementation of the Senior Adult Master Plan, and to sort of stimulate continuing activity in the teams, to recruit new membership, as you mentioned, and it was quite successful in that. We did a number of the teams maybe even doubled their membership as a result of this effort, and from the teams that I've heard from, the people who came to that breakfast are still involved as volunteers on their particular team. So it looks like 2010, 2011 will be a good year for implementing SAM.
Thank you, Nick, for doing a great job on the breakfast. Appreciate it.
Is that it? No more for Sam? That was an outstanding meeting. I think everybody was there. We didn't want out singing or anything, but it was a very well attended and an efficient meeting. Now we move on to our liaison reports. Dave, would you take that?
Thank you, Jim. I think we're all stunned that Mel stopped. I mean, geez.
See, we don't have to huddle anymore. We have numbers that we call our plays.
Audibles, huh? Boy, all right, attaboy.
I'll tell a joke about that.
Well, I know you may want to just continue, because with the Ventura County Area Agency on Aging, that's right, just call it VCAAA, I know.
That's right. Thank you.
Do you want to take that one, Mel?
No, I'm now I'm a past chair. I haven't yet reached emeritus status, so I'm going to pass it over to our new members.
And
Len, are you doing this one? Len and Nick Fotheringham are the official designated members of the representatives from Thousand Oaks.
And Len hasn't yet started. He's still waiting for an official letter from the city to the county,
Yeah.
and so.
They're not formal. They were
Okay.
No, they kicked me out.
They did?
He's kidding.
Oh, they did? It's interesting because I had a discussion with down there.
All right, let's
Okay.
move on.
At any rate, at our November meeting of the VCAAA and so forth, one of the things that I wanted to bring to your attention, I'm also serve on their legislation committee, and I've talked to you in the past about the California Senior Legislature, which has a role of promoting legislation that is advantageous to seniors or helps protect seniors and so forth with the California state legislatures. and very much the same as the volunteers in policing support the sheriff's department here. But there is another aspect of this, and that is that the county itself tends to support legislature in a variety of programs, and the VCAAA, as a component of that, looks for legislation or potential legislation that may support seniors in Ventura County, and tries to identify each year the greatest needs or areas of greatest needs. And the areas that they've identified for the coming year, where they want to support legislation from the state government and so forth, are an increase in funding for elder abuse programs, both prosecution and prevention programs, and also to try to restore funding that was lost for some of the community-based services programs, such as linkages, brown bags, senior companions, Alzheimer's Day care resource centers, and respite purchase of service. The county also supports a full funding for a long-term care ombudsman. This ombudsman's a paid staff member who supports a trained staff of 40 to 50 volunteers, and these help seniors in interactions and so forth with long-term care facilities should there be a need to arise. And the county also supports proposals that would allow dignity in death, and by this they particularly focus on privacy in nursing homes during the last few days of someone's life when they're terminally ill. Thank you.
That's pretty interesting. That's going to be the Congress. That's what the Congress is going to try to push forward?
This is
or is it through the AAA?
The county government, which puts pressure on its state legislators.
The senior as well as the elected
officials? Each agency within the county government does this somewhat independently, and the VCAAA, as one of those agencies, is focused primarily on senior issues. And so each agency comes up with a slate. The slate I just read was the VCAAA's slate of proposals.
Okay, all right, good. All right, retired senior RSVP, Marty, you got a few moments on that?
Just a few. RSVP's Holiday Boutique is wide open and is waiting for customers. It's located at the Global Senior Adult Center. And I noticed that people are going, because I noticed there doesn't seem to be as much merchandise there this week as there was last week. So so you want to get there early before they run out.
How do they do it, you ask? Volume, volume, volume. Okay, go ahead with
let's see, Andre, you ready for a few thoughts on, I mean, you've been over there so quiet.
I've been quiet today, haven't I?
All right.
Yes, yes, yes.
Take it away then.
Okay. Professors and pastries. We have our discussion group tonight. Can life be merely an accident? So there's that one. And then the last one for, of course, this year, because it'll be December 15th, is Frankenfood, Myths, Monsters, or Merely Misunderstood. So those would be some really good talks. And there's usually about 20 to 25, and we try to limit it to a classroom size. So if you're interested in those, there are a few spots left. We do have our holiday party coming up Monday, December 6th. We are full with a waiting list of 50. So if you didn't get your free ticket, I'm sorry. But you can get in on a couple other really cool things. There's a meditation workshop coming up on Thursday, December 9th. It's Change Your Mind, Change Your Life, a self-hypnosis workshop based on Emily Koo, and a free 1-hour group session with Barbara Arnello afterwards. So just call for seating so we don't outgrow the room. And the Rotary Club is doing its annual holiday breakfast. It'll be Friday morning, so that's December 10th, Friday morning at 7 a.m. Got to get your name on the list. There's already 100 for that. For 7 a.m. It's fun, though. They would do a full catered breakfast, and there's entertainment and prizes, and it's actually quite fun. I actually try to make it there. So there's still a spot for that. And then we have a board-certified internal medicine physician will be coming Monday, December 13th, and speaking on knee pain and our diet. So it's how to decrease knee pain without having to undergo surgery or take prescription medication. So looking at different ways through diet and whatnot to help alleviate those things. So that should be really interesting. So I'm looking forward to that. And we've got our New Year's Eve dance and lunch coming up. So instead of doing our traditional evening one, it's been kind of decreasing. We've tinkered with it, still weren't quite having the number, so we thought we'd try New Year's Eve. So this will allow you to come, dance, still have a catered lunch, sparkling cider toast, free pictures, pretty much the same stuff, but condensed from 11 to 2, and we'll still do our champagne toast. So it's $15 to get all that. And then you'll still be home in time to do anything with family or friends, or go to bed early, whichever way you'd like to go. But there is going to be a great door prize by Sherwood Country Club for that, and we've got Comfort Keepers, Buena Vista Hospice as some sponsors for that program. So this should be a fun, and the Aristocats are playing. Then we have a Dr. Phil show coming up, and that'll be in January, but you'll be able to start getting on the list towards the end of this month. So you get to take a bus to Hollywood and go see the Dr. Phil show for a taping, and it's first come, first served. It's free, and sign-ups start Monday, December 27th. So right after Christmas, if you want to go see Dr. Phil in January, do that. And our second Friday of the month, which will be December 10th, our new trips coming up will be Santa Anita, and then a Branson Fest out west in Mesquite, Nevada, and then going to Jeopardy, so you can go see the show Jeopardy, and having lunch at Petrelli's Steakhouse. So those are the immediate things that are coming up, so we're quite busy. And the Canal Recreation and Park District's winter guide for all our new classes starting back up in January, because there will be a hiatus of quite a few classes for all these holiday breaks, is out. So there's all sorts of goodies, not only at the Global Senior Adult Center, but at all the other centers located in the Thousand Oaks and the Newbury Park area. Anybody have any questions? I know I went quick, didn't I?
I have a question, Andrea.
Yes.
For the first time, I got a chance to go see the New Year's Day parade, and I signed up to Global Center. The trip got canceled.
I know. Well, it's not actually the parade. It's float viewing after the parade.
No,
it's not the parade itself.
No, I thought the sign-up was to view the parade and the floats.
It's to view the floats on the 2nd.
On the 2nd.
Uh-huh. We only had 15 people.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I wanted to go too. Anything else? Speaking of trips, though, people that are interested in our trips, and I know people's monies are tight and they wait and wait, people really need to understand that we're paying a deposit fee out in advance, and we have a drop deadline that if we don't have enough people to look like we're even going to break even or only lose a few dollars, we're going to end up having to cancel a trip, because otherwise we're going to lose between $200 and $800 depending on the trip for a deposit. So if people are sitting there, they'll call, so do you think the trip's going to go? Well, come in and get your name on the list. Put your money down. Otherwise, we can't make that determination. So, and we're pretty good about getting everybody's money back. So just make sure that you get your name on the list, and things will go. Things have picked up, though. We haven't canceled quite as many as we have had in the past 8 months. So I'm sorry, Harry.
Is that all? Any other questions? All right, we're moving on to commissioner comments, special event announcements. Mel?
Commissioner's comments, thank you. I've had, in the past month, occasion to visit the Los Robles emergency room. And
fact-finding mission?
I want to I want to say it's a very, very well-run room, emergency room, ER. It is extremely senior-friendly. So when a senior comes in there with a problem, they'll give priority, particularly if they're breathing, so.
A lot.
But pardon me?
I don't know whether you said breathing or bleeding, but either one.
Oh, either. So I just want to say that we have that's an important part of our healthcare system here, and the council will continue to, work with them as part of the total health partnership in the community.
Leonard?
I have a nice feel-good story. About 2 years ago, a retired couple moved into a house in my neighborhood that had never amounted to very much. And over the last 2 years, they've transformed it into a place of real beauty with a rose garden that sort of defies description. And that's a part of the feel-good story. But the other part of it is, in doing some work, my neighbor Al and his wife Grace ended up with a surfeit of material that they were going to try to give away, and then finally, because it couldn't give it away, decided that they would dispose of it by having a dumper come out. Well, I could use the material, so I volunteered to take it off their hands. And it was a big gift to me, since it allows me to continue the refurbishment of our water drought-tolerant front yard. It's those kinds of neighbors that really make the city a special place to live in. And so, Al and Grace, to you, happiest of holidays, and thank you very much. And over the next 2 days or 3 before it rains, I hope to pick up the rest of the material from you. Thanks again.
Anyone else? I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to let everybody know that we do have a manna collection bin at the Global Senior Adult Center year-round, in fact. But I know, of course, the holiday time is always a time of need for all the people in the area that aren't as fortunate as the rest of us with food and whatnot. So if you're interested, you can drop off non-perishables over at the Global Center for manna. Also, RSVP is still collecting things for the troops. So if you've got any really cool DVDs or some really neat magazines or some presents or phone cards, any of that kind of stuff, they do send them out, and that's always so really wanted at this time of year as well. So that's one way to give back.
All right. I'd like to mention very quickly that this coming Tuesday, which I believe is the 7th, is the city's reorganization meeting, and we're certainly going to be there, many of us. The public is definitely invited. Any other comments? Any other announcements? This meeting's adjourned. Yep.